read the basic map of one's prana, you know their past, present and future, everything about the person. Because in a way your life is just a manifestation of your energies, how they function. So with the yogic system, what you're trying to do is to change how it functions from an unconscious repetition of things, or it is right now being heavily manipulated by the memory bank that one has or the karmic structure that one has. Accordingly, the energy is moving according to the… See, in your intelligence today, as you understand intelligence, without memory, your intelligence would be nothing, isn't it? Yes? See, you walk into this village, let's say one 8-year-old smart kid from city comes, from a good family, in a good school, and he comes here, a 8-year-old kid in this tribal village will gape at him, not because he's any less intelligent, simply because he doesn't have the memory that that boy has. And suddenly he looks like a fool because his intelligence is crippled without necessary memory. So that is on one level. Socially it is true, your memory seems to make you look better than others. But existentially, it is your memory which is crippling you. This is why somebody said, those who stand first here who will stand last there. Those who stand last here will stand first there, because what seems to be smart on the social level is working against an individual human being, which he never understands. So your social smartness, your success in the world, you handle it with a certain distance. It is needed for us to live, but we don't have to make that our qualification. Today, how famous I am, how much money we have, what are we… this should not determine who I am. These things are there, these things will allow us to work better in the world, and that's all. That should not determine. But unfortunately for most human beings, that's all that determines who they are within themselves. Who you are in the world is determined by these things, that's okay, that is the way of the world. But who you are within yourself should not be determined by this, because this is what is called as karma. The memory that you have restrains and directs your energy in the way it functions. So right now, I don't want to go into an individual life, but I thought if I show you a comparison, oh, it came out in black. Can you come here? Just raise your hands slowly. One reason is out of sheer ignorance. Another reason why people have usually been talking only of 7 chakras, not 114, is… one reason is because the popular books could not think beyond 7. Leave that part. But another reason why they spoke only about 7, not the others, is if you look at the southern mysticism, the Siddhas of south will talk only about 5, they won't talk about 7. When they're teaching people anything, they talk only about 5, because Mooladhara is the source. The source is infinite, that's why the symbolism. When you sit naturally, the easiest way to depict you is like this. If you wear these new yoga clothes, you very much look like that. because this is the source, the Mooladhara. Does not only mean a foundation for this life, it is connection with the source. So that which is connected with the source is infinite. And the uppermost one is this, because if the road is closed, this is the symbol, isn't it? Because it's not yet ready, it's not there. The Sahasrara doesn't exist for most people. It is yet to manifest. It was manifest to some extent when you were just born. When you were just born, there was a soft spot on top of your head, you know. You handle little infants, you will see there is no bone formation here, just the skin. Actually, it'll be palpitating. If you watch a little baby, tup, 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 it'll be going like this. Because this is open, but now it is closed, because keeping that open and trying to live will be dangerous. All the things that… physical activity that one does and keeping the Sahasrara open will be dangerous. So once it opens up once again, not physically but energy-wise, when it opens up, you will see sages either dreadlock their hair or tie it up or use something else to hold it, because life becomes little fragile. It becomes immensely capable, but physical life becomes fragile. The physicality, to hold the physicality with you, to hold the physical body with you when the top end is open, it needs a certain skill and a certain support, otherwise one will leave. So usually with 90% or more, the moment of enlightenment and moment of leaving the body is same, because once it opens up, they don't have the necessary skill to hold it. And that is where Hatha Yoga becomes all important. If one has not established his body in a proper way, what is a great blessing also ends his life. The greatest blessing will become the end of who you are. Nothing wrong with it, it is just that if you stay around, you could be useful. As far as that life is concerned, if it leaves, there's really no problem. It's wonderful to leave. But if it reaches that point and stays, it could be very useful for every other life. Now, among these 7, we are only looking at 6 here, because 7 is absent. 7 is not there yet. 7 needs to be worked out. If these 6 are sufficiently enhanced, then it'll touch the 7. You should not touch the Sahasrara simply because if such a thing happens, you will not be able to be stable in your body. So, establishing and stabilizing the physical body is very important. Simply people are talking about 7 chakras. The 7th one is not for people who want to live. If you go there, you cross the borders of physicality. So if you want to cross the border and still be here, you must have diplomatic immunity. Yes? Otherwise, they won't send you back. If you want to go there and again come back, you need a certain immunity, otherwise you will leave. So Hatha Yoga is largely concerned with the 5 in the center. The Mooladhara, we are only trying to close it. Close it means we are trying to stabilize and close it, we are not trying to enhance it. We are trying to enhance only the 5, because it's these 5 which sustain life. Right now in the making of this building, the foundation need not do anything, it has to just stay there, that's all. So Mooladhara has to just stay there, it need not do anything. If it connects you with outside life, then your life will become very topsy-turvy. People who go into occult practices, they want their Mooladhara to be open and they want to connect with life so that the base powers will become very strong in them. This is a sure way of ensuring no spiritual process will ever happen to you. Once you open up your Mooladhara, and connect to life from the downward trend of the body, then you cannot connect with the upper moving forces of your life structure. So we want to just seal the foundation and we don't want to hit the top, we want to just stabilize the five in such a way, when someday when we hit the top, our body is so stable, it can hold it and experience it, not fuse out. So Hatha Yoga is essentially concerned with these five chakras. These five chakras are associated with 108 of the remaining chakras. These five handle all the 108. So, it is these 108 that we can work with. It is only these 108 that we can enhance and transform. The base one, there is nothing to do, we just have to hold it stable. And the top one, it's not a time to touch. Till we have sufficient mastery over this, we should not touch that. Now, if we look at this, let's forget whose image this is, okay? This is like an energy X-ray for immediate purposes. We can make a much elaborate one, but that would take much more involvement. This is for immediate. Somebody comes and sits in front of me, now they will say, Sadhguru, I want to become a brahmachari. I say, close your eyes and sit. They sit. Then I say, let's get you married in 6 months. No, Sadhguru, I want to be brahmachari. I said, it's all right, you get married. After that we will see, when your wife doesn't want you, you can become a brahmachari. She will make a brahmachari out of you, not me. Because your energies are in a certain way. Either you must do phenomenal sadhana to correct that, or you better go that way. So if there is phenomenal will in a person, or there is devotion, sense of surrender, then whichever way you are, it can be fixed. But you don't see that will, that commitment, that devotion and that sense of surrender, it's better go by the patterns of your life. It's like, if you want to fly, you know, if the winds are… today winds are nice and quiet, but 3 days ago you saw the winds were blowing at 35, 40 knots. Now you don't try to fly, you don't try to take off in that wind. If you have a weak machine, but you have a very powerful machine, you have a very powerful machine, you don't care what's the wind, you anyway take off. But if you don't have a very powerful machine, you don't try to take off in that kind of weather. In that kind of weather, you better go with the wind. That's safer for you. But you are very powerful, then it doesn't matter, wind is like this, but you go like this. So similarly, if a person is of extraordinary will, or he's willing to give up his will, he's becoming willing means he has no will of his own. If he has an extraordinary will, we can take him where he wants to go. Or he has no will, then we can easily take him where he wants to go. He's half, then the trends are important. Then we have to observe the trend, where he should go and where he should not go. He should not attempt something that he cannot do and break himself up. So, this aspect of… if you look at these simple numbers that I've put, they're not really numbers like that. It is… I've just arrived at my own numbers. They are numbers only for guidance, they are not numbers as numbers. It is not that if I say 8, there are 8 megawatts or something. It's not like that. If you want to judge something, 1 to 10, 0 to 10, okay, this is 1, this is 2, this is 10, you know. In that context, it is numbers. It is not numbers per se, it is only a guideline of numbers. So, now if you look at this map, what you will see is, Mooladhara is slightly imbalanced, needs little more work. Swadhisthana, not very strong, but okay. Manipuraka is good. Anahata, confused. You know what these are? You know which is which? Anahata is confused and a little bit of like that. Vishuddhi, nothing much has happened, as you're born, it is. Agna, okay, stable, nothing phenomenal, but there is potential. When I say there is potential, that means it is not that others do not have potential. That means there aren't too many obstacles. There isn't too many obstacles. With little work, it'll happen. When we say there is no potential, it does not mean it is not possible. It is still possible, but it will take much more work to do it. I think because of a certain continuous emotional pattern, the system has become slightly skewed, which must be corrected. Hatha Yoga is the right thing to do. If you do proper Hatha Yoga, this slightly skewed positions that your energy system has taken will naturally get corrected. We can do something drastic and fix it, but sadhana is the best way of fixing it because it happens slowly. See, you've gotten used to walking like this. Suddenly tomorrow morning I fixed you up like this, you will start thinking something is wrong with you. Yes. People even ask you, suppose you stopped drinking and you went among your drinking friends, they say, what's wrong with you? What happened to you? Yes, you were smoking all your life, one day you suddenly gave up. You went with your smoking friends and they say, what happened? What's wrong? What's the matter with you? So, even if correction happens too dramatically or suddenly, people will get disturbed by that. So it is best that correction happens slowly, unless they're in a state of surrender. If they're in a state of surrender, you can just correct them quickly. But otherwise, if people have their own thought process attached to everything that happens to them, it is better correction happens in degrees.